Hi, thank you tonight. I am hoping I have sound. I think last week I didn't, but I want to thank you for joining me tonight. This is July 12th, 2020, and tonight is my birthday. I want to just take a minute and talk for a couple of minutes before we begin our meditation because I hope to ground you in where you should go or where you want to go. And so, just taking this minute, I want to say that I had a wonderful evening last night. My one daughter invited me over to her house with my two grandsons, and my other daughter and her boyfriend came. And so the six of us were there wearing masks, and I stayed a little further away from the crowd than the rest, the crowd of the six of us. But I had a wonderful meal. My daughter made me a fabulous pot roast, and they bought me cake, and just a wonderful, wonderful time. And it is so wonderful to feel so appreciated and so loved, and to know that I have this in my life. And I'm going to take you a little bit into where this came from for me, and some of what this was like. So as we sit here tonight and we, live in our current present reality, I want to again take the moment to encourage you to continue to follow the best of the science, to wear masks, to wash your hands, wear gloves, to physically distance from people as much as possible. As we ride out this situation, we are tonight, according to the COVID tracker I follow, at 3.4 million cases, above 3.4 million in the United States, so almost to 3.5 million, and at 137,782 deaths, with deaths rising in a lot of states across the nation. And so we need to ground ourselves. We have something where I want to encourage you to think about your desired end result, about where you'd like to be. Last night, as I went to blow out the candles on my cake, that just didn't seem like I should blow on food everyone was about to eat. We're all supposed to be behaving in a way that protects others just in case, right? And I also didn't want anybody else blowing my cake out, including the grandsons I love very much who had their masks on. And so as my one daughter carried the burning inferno of a cake up to me, I waved out the candles and my wish, my affirmation, the thing I took hold of in that moment is that a year from now, what I want is the same thing. I want the same meal in the same house with the same six of us together, still there, still together, doing well, healthy and strong and well. I'm going to take a moment to read tonight just a little bit before I start a meditation, and I don't plan to read very many pages, but I am reading from my book, Turn Your Life Around, which is Expand Your Use of the Secret and Manifest Intentionally in Every Area of Your Life. And I want to read the little section that starts out on page IX. It's really early in the book. It's a Roman numeral. So page 9 in Roman numerals of how I learned manifestation, or a tale of two pregnancies. Before I learned these principles, I lived much as most people do, tossed about by every experience. Though I observed some in others, I had no particular magical powers. Like you, I knew joy and sorrow, victory and defeat, triumph and self-pity. Like you, sometimes I was happy to be here, and other times when life was particularly painful, I longed not to be. Like you, I made the best decisions I could at any given step along the way. Eventually, after what for me felt like a very long time, I was grown and able to forge my own life. Along the way, I married and ultimately ended up with two wonderful children. At this writing, I am also blessed with the two most adorable twin grandchildren in the earth. My apologies for those who feel that they hold that crown. But while I ended up with two children, I had 3 pregnancies. To tell you how I began manifesting, I must tell you the tale of my first 2 pregnancies. I grew up in a very large family. My mother gave birth 12 times in 14 years to 13 children. She seemed to make babies like other people make dinner. There was nothing particularly hard about it, and she talked about it that way. She was an early proponent of natural childbirth and had studied and used the Grantley-Dick-Reed method of natural childbirth for all 12 deliveries, rejecting all drugs. She talked about giving birth as if it were simply another one of her repetitive tasks. When I asked if it hurt, she would say, "No. I was able to breathe above the pain. It's just hard work. That's why they call it labor." based in part on my mother's description of her own experience, in part on my own reading, and in part on my access to excellent prenatal care, an obstetrical team during the pregnancy, a hospital less than 10 minutes away, and 2 attending midwives, I made the choice to have a home birth. My first pregnancy was planned. My partner and I, my husband at the time, and I tried to get pregnant for 11 months. I began regular prenatal care and vitamins early in the first trimester and carried full term without complication, and then 17 days post-mature before I went into spontaneous labor. I knew and have since known a number of women who have had successful home births, but my body was different than theirs and different than my mother's. I had a very long, no-progress labor. I would labor 12 hours and make less than half a centimeter's progress. My cervix all but refused to dilate. Later it turned out that 3 of my mother's 5 daughters had no progress labors on their first deliveries. The other 2 were successfully delivered by cesarean section at about 24 hours of labor. I spent 37 and a half hours in first stage labor. 12 hours in transition, that's supposed to run about 20 minutes, and 2.5 hours pushing for a labor of 52 hours. Somewhere in the pain-induced haze of the prolonged transition, Mom, it was not merely work. The midwives called the hospital and spoke to the obstetrician saying they wanted to bring me in, but the obstetrician, not convinced that I had been laboring as long as they said, sometimes men don't believe women, talked them into waiting just a little longer, about which time my body began pushing. On the final contraction, they lost the baby's heartbeat. When my son was born, he looked at me, but no one could get him to breathe. They started CPR and called the EMTs, who took him out of the room, his gaze still locked to mine. I never saw him again. The autopsy revealed nothing organically wrong with him, and it was concluded that the cause of death was the length of the labor. After that loss, both my partner and I were terrified, but little more than a year later, we found ourselves pregnant again. The news engulfed me in cold buckets of fear. If I had miscarried the first time, I might have had to pass the window of time at which I had miscarried in order to relax. But I had carried full term and beyond. I knew I would have to go all the way through the pregnancy, all the way through the delivery, and hear the baby take its first cry before I could begin to relax in the surety that this baby was all right. In emotional turmoil, I called a prayer hotline. The woman on the other end of that line sent me a book on the power of positive affirmations. I wrote out appropriate affirmations on huge sheets of art paper, then posted them everywhere I spent time. I posted affirmations on my kitchen cabinets, on the wall near where I sat on the edge of the bed, on the doors and walls of my home, in the bathroom right in front of the toilet. And each time I passed them, I read them out loud. I typed out pages of affirmations, stapled them, and carried them in my purse to read under my breath, but still out loud everywhere I went. I was excessive. I was terrified. This process allowed me to anchor my own mind, to fix it on a vision of a happy, healthy baby, to be able to visualize having a child in the crib and the stroller and the car seat that we had put in storage after our son's funeral. Everywhere I went, every day, I continually spoke these affirmations over my child, and I refused every contrary thought or image. I also refused conversations of worry or fear with others, including relatives and in-laws. The morning after Valentine's Day, I went into labor with my second child. We got ready slowly, trying to make sure I wasn't having Braxton Hicks or false labor contractions. This time, the hospital was at a 40-minute distance, and when we decided it was real, given the first experience, we still moved like there was plenty of time. At the hospital itself, there was paperwork and getting settled in a room. When we got settled at the hospital, one doctor on my obstetrical team came in, pronounced me at 6 centimeters dilated, and turned on his heel to leave, saying, "It's going to be a while." Clutching my affirmation sheets, I said, "Come on." And on the next contraction, I started pushing. No recognizable transition, because transition's a stage where there's an unbroken contraction with no spaces in between. I went straight from the first stage to pushing. I sent my partner for help, and he came back with a nurse who checked me, called for a gurney, and began to transfer me from the labor to the delivery room. In the delivery room, as they transferred me from the gurney to the delivery table with one leg on the table and the other still on the gurney, I clutched the nurse by the arm and croaked, "Catch it." She ran to my feet, saw the baby's head crowning, held up a sheet to prevent the baby from being ejected across the room, and began to vigorously nod at the doctor, still standing in the doorway, tying on her face mask. The doctor slid across the floor just in time, and arms extended caught my daughter like a football. My first labor was 52 hours. My second labor was 5, with less than half of that time spent in the hospital. After my first labor, my muscles were so sore I didn't walk fully upright for a month and a half. After this birth, I could have gone dancing. We went home in less than 24 hours with a perfect baby who has been the joy of my heart along with her sister ever since. It is likely that I would have made reasonable progress on my second delivery with or without positive affirmations. It is also likely that my child would have been healthy. There was nothing in the first experience that gave any contraindication against future pregnancies and births. However, neither was there anything about the first experience to indicate that the second experience would be so dramatically easier. The second birth, it was only work, Mom. I gave the credit for my remarkably different and nearly painless experience the second time to my intentional creation through positive affirmation. For me, it began a walk in these principles that last until this day. I want to tell one more story before we start meditating. So, having had that first experience, they treated my second pregnancy as high risk, and they did a lot of stress tests toward the end of the pregnancy. And they did the same the third time I was pregnant, when I was pregnant with my youngest daughter. And I would go, I think I went weekly toward the end of the third pregnancy, and probably during the second pregnancy, but I know I was going weekly at the end of the third pregnancy, and they would put in an IV and start a drip of the hormone Pitocin to begin my uterus contracting, and then they would watch a fetal monitor and see how the baby was responding to having the uterus contracting around her. And they would then decide if the baby was okay or not okay, and they would send me home and call, and I'd have an appointment for the next week. Well, one particular Friday afternoon toward the end of the pregnancy, I was in there, and the technician or whoever was doing this process, I don't know if it was an RN or something else, but whoever the person is that does stress tests, started the process, did whatever, and then went and and was watching the fetal monitor, and she began to look sort of tense, and so she started to do different things. She ran in and out. She brought me orange juice. She brought me cookies. She just, was doing different things, and then she turned to me and she said, there appears to be a problem with the baby's heart. And we want you to go home, and we want you to come back Monday morning, first thing. We want you to go home and spend the weekend lying on one side. I think it's the left side, but don't hold me to that. Ask an obstetrician if you're in the situation of needing to lie on one side or the other. Toward the end of a pregnancy, they recommend lying on the one side because it doesn't compress the artery to the uterus or something. So they're like, go home, lay on this one side, spend the whole weekend laying on this one side whenever you lay down, and come back Monday morning, and we will do this again, and we will see if we're going to move forward to labor, to delivery of some way. And so I just, cold buckets of fear, right? It's like that ice cube challenge thing. It was just the fear fell all over me. And I, got up. I don't know how I drove back home. When I did drive back home, my husband was leaving for work, and then I was left alone. I know the phone rang, and I answered it, and I was just sort of like, I can't talk now, and I don't know who called, but I did not tell them what I was going through, and I didn't tell them what had happened at the office where I was having this, stress test done. And so I spent that weekend, I pulled out my affirmation sheet. I spent that weekend reading those affirmations out loud over and over and over again, through my tears, through my sobbing. A lot of times people are like, well, I tried to create the feeling, and when I sit down and I'm meditating, I feel the feeling and it feels great, but this is not just. So I think Rhonda Byrne did us a disservice in and some other authors out there, but in talking about, the law of attraction, we're not passive in this. We're not simply magnets that are attracting or not attracting things. I think of it more as a law of determination, right? And so I was determined all weekend long, no matter how I felt, I was determined that what had happened in that office was not going to be true Monday morning, and so I spent the entire weekend just saying and saying and saying and saying that my baby was all right, speaking, health and life to her. And so I must have read those sentences 3,000 times that weekend. Every waking moment, I did nothing else. My older daughter had to play with some toys and let me lay there and cry and read. And so, I'm sure I fed her, but she was actually 8.5 when the youngest one was born, so she was pretty self-sufficient. But anyway, so I was doing that, and I'm in that space, and I am saying and saying and saying, and I got up Monday morning, and I went back, and they started the stress test over, started the hormonal drip again, began the uterus contracting. They're watching the monitor. They're coming in and out. There's different people conferring. Again, there's some orange juice and some cookies. It's a whole thing. And then finally, one of the people turns to me and says, that other machine must have been broken on Friday or something. There's nothing wrong with your baby's heart. Go home and come back next week. And that was the last we heard of that. She's perfectly healthy, lovely, and, never ever been a whisper of anything wrong with her heart in all the time since then. So you need to take hold of your desired end results. There is, something going on around us, right? We want to take hold. We want to have a vision. You want to have a vision. You need a vision of where you're going to be when this has passed over, like a vision of it passing over, a vision of you well and strong, a vision of you going forward, a vision for your life, taking hold of the things that you believe you receive. And that is how we manifest. We manifest by determining our desired end result and then taking hold of it in spirit. Quantum physics talks about, and I've said this before, but quantum physics talks about the observer having an effect on the thing observed. And there's something in quantum physics about, the light from a star that you see when you go outside and look at the night sky, left that star so and so many billion years ago or whatever. But actually, there's a level at which in quantum physics, it didn't leave that star to you. So that star might not exist anymore. It may have burned up, and that light needed all that time to travel that distance at the speed of light, right, to meet your retina when you're outside at night. Yet there's another level at which the light didn't leave that star until you looked. So there's something there. We have an effect. We can determine what it is we want to create. Next week, we'll talk about the problem of evil, and we'll talk about how sometimes some of the things that happen in our world are created by people who have a determination, and their determination is to create something that most of the rest of us don't want. But in their determination, they also draw into their circle and into their experience the creation of that thing, which is evil. So we'll talk about that next week and other complexities of this topic. But understand, you have an effect on your outcomes across your lifespan. And as with my believing I received, my holding my affirmations through my second pregnancy, and again through my third pregnancy, I sat last night reaping the fruits of my labor, not only of the years that I spent raising them, but also of the faith with which I endured both of those pregnancies and labors and deliveries, and and have that fruit, have those children, and have that family around me, and have that love. So whatever it is you want, you need to think about what it is you want, and begin to envision it now with me. When this session is over, I'll ask you to write 6 or 7 short sentences. Not a paragraph, like an individual sentence for each thing that comes to you in this. We see ourselves healthy, strong, and well. at the end of this, that you and I, that we and ours are still standing, are still embodied, still in these bodies, because I do believe we survive death, and that, there's a being healthy and well in the spirit world. But we are believing that we're going to still be physically here at the end of whatever happened, this pandemic, and we're going to do what's smart in the meantime. We're going to, we do the best. There's sorry about my head. There's, there was a prayer teacher that was fond of saying, and I think there may be a scripture verse for it, but she was fond of saying that the word and the spirit agree, right? That there's a place in which we take hold of something and we create that something, and we do everything we can in the natural. You want a certain job, you do the things it takes to go after it. You talk to some people who have had that job or have that job and ask them what it took to get that job, and then you maybe go acquire some of the credentials to create that future for yourself. But you also so you're doing the natural things, and you apply it at various points for those kinds of positions. You do what that takes. You do the natural things. You don't just sit there and twiddle your thumbs in that sense. On the other hand, in the spirit, you go in and you picture, you decide what you want, and then you picture having that thing, and you imagine your life with it and what it feels like and what it looks like, and you see yourself, if you wanted a house instead of a one-level place, you wanted a 2 or 3 level place, you picture yourself going upstairs to bed at night and downstairs to the kitchen in the morning and in and out, whatever that something is. You picture it. You create the feeling when you pray, when you meditate. You go into that space, but you also, then you're walking around through the rest of your life, and you sometimes are walking around feeling the lack of something. When you're pregnant, when I was pregnant, you can't see into your abdomen. I mean, you can get an occasional ultrasound, but they look kind of funny. I'm sorry. Even the new ones now, even the 3D ones, they're kind of eerie, but you don't, it doesn't really look like your baby's face, thankfully. They're much prettier when they're born than that. Even if they're preemies, they're prettier than the ultrasound pictures. But you can't look inside. You're growing something and you can't see it yet. So you can't check on it in that sense. But if you take hold with your faith, then you hold on to that thing. The way to do that when you're not in prayer and meditation, but you're walking around in your daily life and you're feeling, the desire for the thing and the fact that you don't seemingly have it yet, in the spirit you have already received it. So as you walk around, if you're saying your affirmations, it is creating and bringing it to pass. So take a moment and picture what you want. Just picture being healthy at the end of this, and those you love, bring their names and faces into your mind. And whatever it is you want to see happen in regard to public response to this, what else do you want in your life? What else do you want in the realm of physical health, physical stability, longevity? Picture whatever that thing is you desire. Mental health, in various ways, cognitive acuity, or emotional stability. Like, what else is the air that you want to have, or that you picture, right? Picture that for yourself. And then also, we don't all need to be millionaires. Actually, there's a statement, and I don't know who said it, but there is no victimless billionaire. And that's actually kind of true, because very few people can get to those kinds of levels of money without in some way abusing the earth or abusing people as a labor force. So, and underpaying and all those pieces. But we do need to be safe, sheltered, clothed. We need a house of some sort, some sort of roof over our heads. We're really not, well positioned. We don't have fur. We're not well positioned to live outside. We need a roof. We need clothing. It gets cold. It gets hot. We need clothing. You will get arrested if you're nude outside. You need clothing. You need food. You need a certain quality of food. You need the kind of food. You may desire to be thinner. You may desire to be heavier. You may desire whatever that is for you. Picture the things you want. The people, the love relationships. I frequently tell people, do not believe that Joe is your boyfriend, whoever. Do not believe for Joe. Joe has free will. Joe may want you or not want you, but you can believe for someone with a certain set of characteristics who, meets your sexual attractive, orientation, who is, properly positioned for you and there in your life, and respectful and loving, and you're attracted, and he or she is attracted, or they're attracted, and that whole piece, right? Picture what you want, what you need, what you desire, and let's go into the space and make it. And then after the session, go write those things into short sentences, not I have Joe, but I have my life partner. I have, physical health. I have freedom from pain. I have emotional stability. I have mental acuity. I live long and I prosper. Whatever that is, okay? So just allowing yourself to begin to relax. Just take this moment to focus on your breath. You're being mindful of allowing your body to be comfortable as possible tonight, so that you can go into the spirit realm, into your spirit, and create the imagination, the daydream, the image of your desired end results. So just moving into that space inside, focus on your breath and allow yourself to be aware of the air against your skin, the gravity that holds you in place on the surface of the earth. Just take a moment, make sure your knees are not crossed in a way that's going to be distracting. Just be comfortable, be physically as comfortable as possible, and allow yourself to begin to relax. You are relaxing your thoughts, allowing your mind, the surface of your mind, to grow still, like the surface of a placid lake on a windless day, just still. And any currents of thoughts that come in or go out, just let them go for now, because you're relaxing and then you're visualizing, just allowing yourself to relax your forehead, your face, your neck and your shoulders, your back, the place between your shoulder blades, your lower back, your hips, and your arms, your upper arms and elbows, your forearms, your wrists, your hands, and your legs, your knees, your calves, your ankles and feet. And with me again, envision that there is a beam of light coming down on you from above, from source, and it envelops you in safety and protection. It is a force field of energy, keeping out the harm and all the weapons of something else are deflected off. No weapon formed against you prospers or penetrates. And inside that beam of light with you are those you love and need most. Your parents or children, your siblings, cousins, aunts, uncles, family, friends, grandchildren, loved ones. Those people, picture them inside that protective energy with you. And as you continue to focus on your breathing, we're going to count from 10 to 1, 2 times, to just let yourself relax further and deeper and more completely as we begin to create the image of peace and safety, health, longevity, provision. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Breathing in peace. You're going deeper still. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and one. In this place, inside yourself, this deep inner space, picture you and yours safe, healthy, maybe healthier than you've been. Picture yourself strong and well. Picture every physical challenge being turned around, getting better. Remember how skin mends itself when cut, often without even a scar. All the times you've been ill in the past and you recovered fully. See anything that's been a challenge in your health improving, getting better. See every part of your body improving in health and comfort, freedom from pain. Feel the feeling of wellness. Remember wellness. Hold on to wellness. And see yourself and those you love and need well. 6 months from now, a year from now, 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, strong, healthy, well. Create that image. Create the feeling as much as you can. Generate the emotional feeling of wellness, strength, longevity, resilience, clarity, feeling good, like waking up and stretching on a summer morning as a grade school child, healthy, strong, well, comfortable in your body, your loved ones comfortable in theirs. And add to that image more. If there's a partner you desire, just create the feeling of having that partner there. If there's a partner you want to put out of your circle, you can create that feeling too. It's all up to you what you desire as your end result. And then also create the feeling of all your needs met. Whatever's going on for you right now financially, or whatever threatens. As people talk about financial impacts of this thing, just see always having what you need, being housed, being clothed appropriately, warm enough, cool enough, dressed for the occasion, fed, healthy, nourishing, quality food, clean water, clean air. Just generate that feeling, that image. Cared for. Spirit caring for you the way a good parent cares for a child. The way I cared for my babies when they were born. Diligent oversight, care. Just feel the feeling of being cradled in the arms of Source, or the universe, of you are seen and you are known. That verse about his eye being on the sparrow and being fed, that the Father knows, sees the bird, even the sparrow, and feeds it. all your needs met, bills paid, the things you need, the vehicle for transportation, just everything, every piece of that is just provided. Feel the feeling of being provided for. This is the space in which you co-create with the divine, your path forward. If there's something you desire in regard to future employment, career, opportunities, certificates, diplomas, just see having all you need. Purpose, direction, meaning, meaningful work, a contribution you make to others. Just create that feeling. You know where you're headed. You know what you're drawn to. Create the feeling of having a future and a hope. It's not over yet. However old you are, there's decades to go. Decades to contribute, to enjoy, to taste the sweetness, to smell the flowers, to feel the sun on your face, to hold in your arms those you love, to be held. Create the feeling, every need in your life, every area being met, and see what those areas are. And with me, if you would be so kind, see real leadership rising up in every area of the globe, helping humankind do what's right to get this thing back under control and to just see quality leaders internationally, in international organizations and in governments all around the world. If you're in the United States with me and our federal government, see quality servant of the people leaders, real democracy and real leadership, and real state governors and state houses. Just see every branch of government, federal and state and local, regional, just see them all getting on the same page, getting in order, doing the right thing, helping the population of their countries and their regions, their states, helping us all through, making ways, providing the social safety net and a path forward, flattening the curve, bringing it down. Just see the elections coming up and see quality people put into office, and see corruption removed and dictators removed from all around the globe. Just see that freedom and liberty and justice matter. See true, compassionate democracy. See a shift away from greedy corporate capitalism into a space where there's real, honest concern for other human beings. Just see the change is necessary to help the planet. See the human race using its will and its intellect and its vision and its actions at every level to elect leaders and policies that bring us back into a space our grandchildren and great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren, generation upon generation, can continue to enjoy the beauties of this planet. Wherever you're living right now, see the weather this summer, this fall, being safe. Wherever you're living, No hurricanes, no earthquakes, no fires. See safety, peace, stability. Your roof, the roofs of the people around you. See your neighbors. See everyone around you, safe and well. See true concern across people groups instead of division. See honest, loving, compassion, concern, justice, safety, proper changes. See an end to all those isms. See humankind coming to the place where every race, ethnicity, sex, gender, sexual orientation, kind of ability is honored, where there's respect and equality, equity, inclusion. And as you bring your vision back down to your space, to your life, you can do both. It is right to use your faith and your actions for others, and right to use your faith and your actions for you. So see the things you're going to write your short affirmations about. Your body, its health, your mind and emotions and your health, their health. The provision, long term, for decades and decades to come, provision. Opportunity, fulfilling contribution to the world. Safety of those you love. See all those things you're going to write your affirmations about. And then see yourself putting your hand to the plow, rising up every morning to make your affirmations. Whenever the subjects you are believing for come up, to speak your faith instead of fear. See yourself. You plow, you plant, you water, you tend, you garden, you reap your harvest. It takes time to grow plants, to grow food. It takes time to grow a baby. It takes time to grow a career. It takes time to grow your health. Just see, rising every day and making your affirmations, and every time you pray or visualize, create the image again of having. Make an affirmation of having now, not I will get, but now. You have. So in your heart of hearts, say with me, I have perfect health. I have a stable mind and emotions. I have long-term cognitive clarity all the days of my life. I have ongoing youthfulness and vigor. I have peace and safety and health for my loved ones. We all are safe and well always, at every moment. We have food and shelter and clothing. We have all that we need to meet our bills and responsibilities. We have our path forward, our sense of purpose and direction, a vision. We have things that we enjoy doing and dedicate time to, talents, the things you like. See yourself doing things you enjoy. And just allow. We have good quality leadership. All of our leaders, local, state, national, are all free of corruption. And those in office labor for the people, do what's right for the people, for their constituents, all their constituents, elected to represent everyone. We have a healthy planet. We have clean air, clean water, clean soil, clean oceans. We have a change in global energy policies and every sort of policy that has affected the environment, and we have all of those turned into the right policies to restore, to allow the earth to restore itself, to find again its balance and its harmony. And we as a species and the earth continue to live together and live together in harmony for millennia to come. So as you come back tonight, come back rested, refreshed, grounded, and determined that you will make your affirmations and you will use them to ground yourself, to hold on to, and you, in determination, you create a life you love. Coming back tonight as I count from 1 to 10. 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. As I'm led, and with your good grace, I will read some more of this book next time, and maybe often, I don't know, but again, I do believe that learning to ground myself, learning to focus on my desired end result, learning to make faith-filled affirmations about the things I was facing, really, really helped alter who I was in really profitable ways. I had an intensely suicidal feeling a lot of my childhood and adolescence, and just that, that stopped, and how I viewed myself all changed. And I used to tell myself no one loved me and no one would cry if I died, and then I came to realize I am loved, and there are people who care about me, and there are people I care about, and I want to use the time I'm here. Like Alexander Hamilton, I'm not giving away my shot, right? This is your shot. Take it, run with it, make the most of your life. It only lasts a few decades anyway. The best of us, we're really lucky if we get 9, right? And so however many you've already used up, like, use the time you have in your body and use your faith and your words, your affirmations and your visualizations, and decide what you want and make it something that's good for others too. And, not we're allowed to be self-centered enough, but we should not be destructive and corrupt, right? So take yourself and with some ethics, make some really good choices and go for it. Don't give up your shot. And I believe with you for your health and safety and longevity. And I thank you for believing with me, that you're believing with me, for mine and for those I love. And so for you and yours and me and mine. Till next Sunday at 8, be blessed, be well. I have a YouTube channel, Reverend Dr. Nadine Rosechild-Sullivan, and this will get uploaded sometime in the next 24 hours to YouTube. The other week's meditations are there. Some sociology classes I'm teaching are there. Also some readings from my book, An Abomination in the Sight of the Lord. What's the subtitle? a deeper look at the Jewish and Christian scriptures thought to condemn homosexuality. Some of those are there. Some other book readings will be getting out there. So kind of 3 themes: the meditations, the book readings, and some sociology that I'm teaching. And so, go check out my YouTube channel. I need subscribers, but also thank you for praying with me and for standing with me. Also, if anybody ever wants counseling sessions, I do that too. So, and my websites, I think, are on the YouTube channel listed there. Okay, be well. Be safe. You are safe. Do what science says. Use your faith and use your affirmations. They ground you no matter how it looks.